I'll have these out in a jiffy. This is Sinbad's special dentistry sword, and it's seen active service on many a quest. Oh, well, they're really anchored in, aren't they? This could be a Hello, folks! Yes, I'm just doing a bit of impromptu mouth surgery on the saber-toothed tiger, your friend and mine. This guy was a superstar back in the 70s, yes. In the third instalment of the epic Ray Harryhausen, Charles H. Scheer trilogy of Sinbad movies. A very loose trilogy, of course. It began back in the 50s with Kevin Matthews playing Sinbad in the awesome, the best adventure yet, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. We never saw the first 6. We just started off in the 7th, but hey, you know, it works, and what a wonderful movie that is. I have covered it quite extensively. And then you went on to Jean-Philippe Law playing Sinbad in The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Yes, the one that brought in Caroline Munro. And also the one that featured a pre-Doctor Who Tom Baker as the evil wizard Quora, which is a very occult-laced and yet very sort of, for the Ray Harryhausen stop-motion dynamation and dinosaurs, monsters and skeletons, and that kind of thing. It's a very realistic take. It tries to be more naturalistic, and I do love that movie a lot. And then you got, in 1977, the final instalment, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. For many people, their favourite, not mine. Although I do love the movie a lot. But I do find that the trilogy starts off on such a great high, and then it is a lot of diminishing returns. Golden Voyage is great. Eye of the Tiger is wonderful if you're Rocky Balboa, but it is very lacking in many ways. But it's not helped by the fact that it came out in 1977. Now, you guys, you already know what I'm going to say next. A certain story which took place in a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago, also came out that year. And it pretty much eclipsed anything that came out at that time or afterwards. It just was that big benchmark. So Ray Harryhausen and his antiquated, still beautiful, still magic special effects artistry just could not compete with the likes of up and coming pioneering effects work, visual effects work, and also the storytelling as well, because this was very old fashioned. With Sinbad movies, you're harking back to the Arabian Nights. You're bringing in Greek mythology. You're bringing in this particular version, you're also harkening on to Edgar Rice Burroughs and Robert E. Howard, because this whole thing takes place, well, we not all of it, but we do venture out into the outer regions of Hyperborea. And Hyperborea is a place in the Conan Cimmerian world and universe. So they are mixing a lot of things in together, which works, because in the Sinbad movies, kind of anything goes. You're taking mythology and you're adding a spin to it. And during the times when these films came out, it did encourage people to go out and read sort of mythological tales and learn about these legends, learn about the ancient Greek gods, and it was great stuff. You know, it would also mix in, you know, Hindu religions and other religions and Islamic stuff. It would be a cross-pollination of a diverse set of beliefs all colliding together to create a very colourful extravaganza. In the first Sinbad movie, you had Kevin Matthews, who I think's great. You know, he's no great shakes as an actor, but he's still wonderful in the role. Then you had Jean-Philippe Law, who has a little knowing twinkle in his eye. And again, there's a sense of realism to it, but he's got that little gleam, which adds a bit of a frisson to it. I'll come on to that movie at some point. But in this one, you have Patrick Wayne, son of John Wayne. I don't mind Patrick Wayne at all. But everyone and everybody will tell you that, oh, he's the one thing that underpins this movie. His acting is terrible. It's not. It all depends on what the material is that you've got to work with. He's not a great actor, but he's a man that he has a presence. He has a great look to him. He's got the curly hair and earring and the big open bloused flowery shirt. Well, not flowery, but you know, billowy swashbuckling shirt. And he's got the curved scimitar type sword as well. And he wears a turban occasionally as well, not forgetting the ethnic roots of this character. And and there's a bit of a debonair flash to him as well. So I like that. That works. But he doesn't have a great deal to do, in all honesty. The story is another quest. Basically, what you've got, he wants to marry Princess Farah, played by a very young and very sort of green behind the ears, wet behind the ears, green round the gills. You know my drift. She's only young. Jane Seymour. And she's gorgeous. And she's got cornrows in her hair when you first see her as well. But the problem with this scenario is that her brother, Kasim, played by Damien Thomas, who is in Hammer's Twins of Evil, and a very exotic, swarthy looking swishback gypsy look to him as well. Although you don't see much of that because he gets transformed on the moment he's about to be crowned Caliph. The evil, wicked stepmother, Queen Zenobia, played by Margaret Whiting, a very theatrical star who is pantomime boo-hissable in this, but she's wonderful as well. More on her later. Puts a spell on him and transforms him into a baboon. Luckily, we never see the backside of this baboon because that would have been really X-rated, I'm sure. But so he's transformed into a baboon. They've got only several more full moons before they've got to crown him Caliph. Their second attempt to crown him before Zenobia's son himself, Rafi, I think his name is, will step into the role. And of course, that's what she wants. That's what he wants. So there's the conflict. Zenobia wants her son to be crowned Caliph, even though she's got all the powers under the sun. So do whatever she wants, really, can't she? But Sinbad arrives just in time after a long voyage. His marriage is postponed. Please, can you find Melanthius, played by Patrick Troughton, who we've already seen in a Ray Harryhausen movie, in, of course, Jason the Argonauts, where he plays the blind seer. Why is it the seers always happen to be blind? They don't need these eyes, they focus on the inner eye. They're always prophets. And he's the one who's being tormented by the harpies in Jason the Argonauts, and it's fucking wonderful. Speaking of Jason the Argonauts, Dan Cryer, he's here again! Look, he does move around under his own steam. He's getting involved in a lot of these videos lately, I know. But, stay, Talos, stay. So, the quest is go and find Melanthius, who is the only other sort of wizard in the known world who can possibly reverse this hideous transformation that Prince Kasim has undergone. So they get the baboon on board, they get the princess on board, and Sinbad and his loyal crew set sail. They go and find Melanthius, who is in the city of Petra in Jordan, which has been seen in many movies. This is that fabulous cliff-faced sandstone citadel built into the walls. You've seen it in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. You've seen it in other movies. And they go there, they venture, and they find Patrick Troughton looking a lot like Gandalf. Gandalf crossed with Moses. Long grey hair, big grey beard on him. And he's a sorcerer as well. But he's dabbling in things which are not just sorcery. There's kind of science involved in this, which is an unusual slant. But it does show a marked evolution of the storytelling and the whole narrative and the ideas and concepts of the Sinbad movies. It isn't just sorcery. He's working with old scrolls which can obviously tell him how to construct basically ancient laser beams. He's also using telepathia. So he and his daughter, played by, I will get this right, Tyrone Power's daughter, who is Taryn Power. Shouldn't have been that hard, should it? So you've got John Wayne's son, and you've got Tyrone Power, another great Western superstar icon and adventurer in movies. You've got his daughter as well. And directing it, you've got the actor Sam Wanamaker. That weaselly, forever slyly grinning actor. The guy that single-handedly brought back the Globe Theatre, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, and brought it back and invigorated it with life and vitality. And is a great figure within the arts. But a crazy choice for a film like this. And I've never understood how he got the gig to do this. I'm sure there is production notes and things, and I know a lot about the making of the movie, but I've never really worked that bit out as to how he got the gig to do this, because he's not the best to do it. As Harryhausen said, he was great at directing the actors, but he was rubbish at integrating the action scenes that I was evolving with the stop motion animation and my creatures, whereas other directors could work with that. He had a very tough time doing it. I mean, obviously, it's a gift to be able to do that, and it does show in the movie as well. I think the movie is. There's a lot that happens in it, and yet the film feels very slow, which is unusual. Whereas Seventh Voyage is a rollicking ride from start to finish, and you're breathless at the end of it. Golden Voyage is a little bit slower, and yet it has an atmosphere which permeates it, which keeps it going. Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger has lots of incidents, but they all seem to be a lot of diminishing returns. They're less spectacular as the film goes on, and it does have a feeling of sort of deflation about it, and yet I still do get a real good kick out of it. As I said before, for many people, it is their favourite of the Sinbad movies, and I understand why. If you've grown up with it, then yeah, it's got that magic, that mystery, that wonder to it, but it doesn't have that sense of propulsion or menace that the earlier two films do have. Anyway, so along with Melanthius and his daughter, Tyrone Power's daughter, and Jane Seymour and the baboon, they realise that they've got to go out to the outer reaches of Hyperborea, this is taking from Edgar Rice Burroughs and Arthur Conan Doyle as well, with The Lost World, where they have like Arctic areas, but you have an inner tranquility, an inner Garden of Eden, which has its own ecosystem and exists in sunlight. So they journey up there into the ice, encountering a huge giant walrus, something you've got in common with the very big tusky things. And then they will find this great sort of epic pyramid thing in the middle of nowhere behind a great stone wall. They will find the prehistoric version of man, a troglodyte, a horned, hairy troglodyte carrying a big club, who's actually a friend. And his rapport with the baboon, which is Prince Cassim, is wonderful. And he will show them the way to this place, and he will die a martyr. He'll sacrifice himself for his newfound human friends to save them from the saber-toothed tiger, which lies in frozen guard duty in front of this God-given light of power and rejuvenation, with a very handy cage set off to one side, which you can work with chains. And the idea is, well, yes, because the Aurora Borealis is above this, and it's giving its power down from Zeus and all the other gods, we can maybe transform Prince Cassim from the baboon and back into his wondrous Damien Thomas self, and then he can become the Caliph, and he'll rob Raffi and Queen Zenobia of what they think is their destiny. And of course, that's what they do. Queen Zenobia, of course, has other ideas. So she sets sail on her great big iron ship, like a Nautilus, Captain Nemo's Nautilus, but above the water, on the water, not below it, with a big spiky spear point prow. And she has the awesome Minotaur, who is a bronze version of the Minotaur. They put a golden heart within him. So again, you're not necessarily just relying on the occult and sorcery. You're relying on science as well. And I like the way it does blend the two things together. She puts this great big golden heart inside him, and it begins to tick, tick, tick. And this huge Leviathan thing comes to life. But she does put a potion on its eyes and has an incantation to bring him to life. Minotaur! And this huge 8 foot, maybe more than that, maybe about 10 foot tall, horned, bull-headed Minotaur bronze thing becomes, he will be our army. And she sets sail with her son and Minotaur to go and catch and hopefully outwit Sinbad and Melanthius in their tricks and strategy to try and rejuvenate Prince Cassim. So this odyssey then goes across different landscapes, different lands, and a lot of action does take place. I say a lot of action. And I think I would be lying with that, because there's not a great deal of action in it. You do have the big fight with the walrus, and to be honest, I don't like that fight, because although a couple of Sinbad's men get squashed and one gets battered, 80 foot through the air and lands through the ice, and then down he goes. Another one gets completely squashed flat on the ice floe. But it's just a real creature, so it's just outlandishly huge. And I'm kind of like, well, I like walruses. They're not monsters. Don't be attacking that. It lives there. You've encroached on its territory, so get out the way of it. But they do. They're throwing spears at it and trying to net it. But it's a big action set piece. You also have Zenobia she has a little locket full of potion, and there's obviously the amount of potion that she's got is vital. So if she uses too much, which is what happens, because they're realising that, hang on, Sinbad's going here, and like, he's already got ahead of us, he's got to the scrolls of this, and he's met Melanthius, and oh no, we must bypass him and ambush him in the waters of so and so, or whatever. But where are they going? They lose him in the fog. So what she does, she has a little bit of potion, and then she has a very, very curiously, which when you're a kid you've never noticed it, she writhes on the bed very sort of orgasmically, moaning and groaning and writhing, and her son's kind of watching, and he kind of pulls the curtain across just to, I don't want to see this. And then she transforms into a seagull. Yes, a seagull. And she flies and lands on Sinbad's boat. And this is a big central sort of set piece, and she's eavesdropping on their plans. And of course they've got the baboon there in the cage, but he comes up because he is the prince and all that. Like, the prince plays chess. I didn't know that chess existed back in those days, but apparently it did. It actually is quoted in the Arabian Nights, so there you go. And there is a great throwaway line when I think his name's Hassim, who's one of Sinbad's men, is painting the outside of the of Sinbad's ship, the name of which I don't think we even know the name of it. HMS Sinbad is painting it all, and the window's open, and you can see Jane Seymour is playing. The princess is playing chess with the baboon, and he's like, he can't believe it. So he creeps in through the window, and he's like, and the baboon sees him, and the baboon shrieks at him, and he's like, and baboons are frightening, so he starts to fight the baboon. And she's like, no, leave him, leave the baboon. And then of course Patrick Wayne comes in, like, and what are you doing? He goes, Captain Sinbad, the baboon was playing chess. And he goes, I know, he beat me twice this morning. And that is a brilliant line. It's so throwaway, and I just wish the film had more of that. More of those quick moments of spontaneous humour and wit. It would have worked a lot better if we went down that road, but it doesn't. But that's a great little moment. And we do learn, of course, that the baboon, the longer he is in baboon form, the harder it's going to be to make him come back to human form, because he's losing interest in playing chess. He's losing his human attributes. He starts not eating vegetables and seeds and fruit, but he wants to eat meat. He steals meat, starts eating that. And Melanthius, Patrick Troughton, is like, oh no, he's losing his human elements. We've only got one more moon and all this, a lot of moons and stuff like that. But yeah, going back to where I was half an hour ago, Queen Zenobia as a seagull arrives on board their ship to try and spy on him. But instead of staying in seagull form, she reverts to like a small version of Margaret Whiting as Queen Zenobia. Harking back, of course, to Seven Voyages of Sinbad, where the little princess has been made to miniature size. And she wanders around the decks, and she gets into the room, and she spies Melanthius and his plans, and she's watching all this. But the baboon, Prince Cassim, sees her, so goes crazy, trying to catch her. So they all think, the baboon's gone mad, he's losing it, get him back in the cage. But then Troughton sees Zenobia, and she's like, little miniature version, and he reaches in like this to pick it up. Very similar to the sorcerer Sakura reaching in to pick up the little princess in Seven Voyages of Sinbad as well, like that. And so Melanthius tries to interrogate her, and it's really stupid because he gives away the entire plan. He shows her the maps where they want to go, and she's like reading all this, And of course, I said before about telepathia. He has there is in this film, there is the mind reading telepathy. And as Melanthius says, again bringing science back into it more than the occult. You can read people's minds, and we can share thoughts, even not just here and across the road, but across the stars. So you're embracing a lot of the bigger sort of perspective on things, and I like that. I like that element that creeps in. But Zenobia learns what's going on, and she starts putting him into a trance, but to try and torture her to find out what's going on with her and how to reverse the spell on Prince Kasim. That's the whole point of this voyage, remember, to try and reverse that, to get him back to being Damien Thomas. He gets some of her little potion. He's found a little cracked locket, and the potion's leaked out. And she's like, no, that's my potion. I need my potion. How can she bargain with him? She's in a fucking glass jar, and she's about that big, and he's glowering at her. And she's like, no, that is mine. Give it back to me. Fuck you, But he gets a little bee. He gets a bee and makes the bee drink it. And another little nice verbal quote, which I don't think they really meant at the time. Unlike the he beat me twice this morning already. I know about his chess playing. Unlike that, he gets this little bee, and she's going, no, that's my potion. I need that potion. And he's going, be silent. He's got a bee in his hand, like a little pincer, and he makes the bee drink it, and the bee gets bigger and bigger. And in a great moment, it's all stop motion, of course, and it's superimposed. But Patrick Troughton's watching it, and he's like, This thing gets bigger. And then Zenobia realizes, hang on a minute, I can control you. You got my potion inside you. Kill him! So they're all fighting this fucking... The thing is, it started off as a bee, and it grows into what's clearly a bloody big hornet. Now, they're different than bees. And when the crew come in, it's a huge bee. No, it's a mosquito. What the fuck is it? It's just a big, buzzy, stinging insect, which is too big. It gets skewered. She escapes, but there's not enough potion to transform her back. And in a wonderful touch, she goes back to her ship, and her son spies on her as she's regenerating back into her Zenobia form, her full-size Zenobia form, because she changed back into a gull and flies back. Just want to set the record straight on that one. Doesn't swim all the way back. And but one foot, or maybe even one leg, remains the same as a seagull. And she's like, she's hobbling around on a great big webbed foot. It's brilliant, grotesque element they've thrown in there, which I really do like. You liked it too, didn't you? I remember you saying, yeah. It tusked in your mind, didn't it? Cheers, Talos. And then, of course, you meet Trog, and you meet the saber-toothed tiger, the guardian of this thing. Now, it all transpires. They will kill the saber-toothed tiger. The Trog will be killed by the tiger. Zenobia's son, in a really pathetic finale, when they all arrive at the same place, and they think, look, no, we're in charge here. We're going to stop you from doing this. Raffi, take them down. Raffi runs down these big steps, which are always dangerous. I remember in the film The Vikings, Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis, they fight on this thing with huge, very almost perpendicular, almost vertical steps. Wow, that's a fucking scary thing to fight on, that. But these are fighting and rolling around on this, and he tumbles, hits the deck, and breaks his neck. Will you watch? The guy that plays him, I forgot his bloody name now, he lies there for ages like that with his neck really horribly, savagely broken. And she's like, Zenobia's like, no, her entire plan has now completely failed. And this is the thing, why did she bother even pursuing them? Just stay in the city with your son who's going to become Caliph, and just fortify it with your magic to stop them getting back. Why did just you and your son and the Minotaur, you'll be our army? It doesn't do anything. The Minotaur only kills 3 people. They plough their ship, as he's like that, rowing their iron ship. And by the way, when you see him doing that, who's inside that suit? It's Peter Mayhew. Yes, it's our old Wookiee friend. He was very, very busy during this period, was Peter Mayhew. And but he stopped motion for a lot of the action scenes, obviously. But that's just it. One guy survives the boat collision, and Minotaur, and he picks up a big bronze spear, and spears this guy and lifts him up like that and kills him. You are wanting, and this is where the film fails, and Ray Harryhausen totally acknowledges this, and I said that my regret is that we didn't use more of the Minotaur, because the Minotaur does not face off against Sinbad and his crew at all. He doesn't fight anybody else. He remains an imposing figure rowing this ship and following behind Zenobia and their son. But once they get to the pyramid, they can't find a way in, so he uses explosives to dislodge a big block of stone, and he then angles it out and then falls over and it crushes him. That's it. End of Minotaur. There was meant to be a fight between him and the Trog. It was a throwback to the Cyclops and the Centaur, which they've used before, and the Satyr that Harryhausen had crafted before. But he's on two legs and he carries a club. And amusingly, when he sees the collapse, they find the body of the Minotaur, because Zenobia and Raffi have got in there first. And they go in the same way. They go, what's this? And they find this body. And the Trog drops down his club and picks up the spear. The Trog will fight the saber-toothed tiger, and his body will lie on the steps. Although in a terrible piss-poor continuity, in every shot afterwards, once he's died, his body is gone. Plus the body of the saber-toothed tiger is removed as well. And that's alarmingly bad for when you're using painstaking frame-by-frame movements on effects puppets, which are extraordinarily good in this movie. It's kind of crap, and you're like, well, you should spot that you're watching the film and you're doing these and you're going to map the two together. You should spot that the body should still be there. But anyway, it is what it is. Other creatures, you've got these little demon things at the start. When the first night when they come ashore, right at the start of the movie, Sinbad is attacked in this wheeler dealer's home who's invited them in. You know, you must come and stay with me, I'll feed you. They get poisoned wine, and then all of a sudden, because it's Zenobia's trick, she knows, well, we don't want Sinbad here, he's a fucking hero and he could thwart my plans. So she makes these hideous, diminutive, purple, sort of, I don't know, very putrescent looking zomboids with insectoid eyes and little horns. Great demon little monsters they are. To have a big sword fight with Sinbad. And also using flaming torches as well, which is pretty good. But that's a very brief fight sequence at the start of the film. Don't forget, skeletons are things that Harryhausen had perfected with, obviously, the fight between Sinbad and the skeleton on the steps, on the circular Errol Flynn style steps from St. George to Sinbad. And then, of course, the glorious fight of Jason and his Argonauts against the squadron, the platoon of skeletons. Well, this does not better that. Even though the animation is technically better across the board, it's nowhere near as exciting. And it's over and done with in a flash, which is a shame, a real shame, because they're great looking little creatures, very demonic looking things. But the animation on Prince Kasim as the baboon is extraordinary, and the facial expressions on Trog are wonderful too, and the chemistry and the connection between Trog and the baboon Kasim is great. The acting is, it's alright, come on, it is what it is. You don't expect these films to be full of Oscar-winning performances. You're not going to get that, and you don't. Patrick Troughton and Margaret Whiting give the best performances, without a doubt. Margaret Whiting, who delivered her performance in her normal voice, was then told afterwards, can you redub it in a more exotic sort of accent? So she really goes to town, stretching the syllables and vowels and giving a very Eastern twang to everything. A very gypsy, esoteric, exotic sort of voice, and it works. I think she's extraordinarily good in this. I think the part could have been written better, but hey ho. You've also got the father, Sinbad's one of his best crewmen, Hassan, is actually Sawalia. I forget his first name, but he's the father of Nadia and Julia Sawalia, who are in lots and lots of TV shows and TV celebs in the UK. So there's quite a sort of pedigree of stars and families moving on in this movie. Patrick Wayne, Tyrone Power's daughter. So it's quite a strange hybrid sort of movie. I have a great deal of fun with it. You have the score by Roy Budd. It's been playing here, and it has the right exotic sort of twang to it, an Eastern flavour to it, a baroque nature. It's not the greatest of the scores, which is still Bernard Herrmann's score for Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Everything about Seventh Voyage is better than the two films that came after it. Everything. But, you know, it's still a great score in its own right. It has mystique, it has mystery, it has awe and wonder. But I just wish there was a bit more action, a bit more vigour. There isn't a real sense of danger to it, which is a sort of weird thing. You've got the time limit. All the films seem to deal with someone who has been transformed or changed, and Sinbad has to revert that, but they've got to go somewhere, meet a wizard to do this, to do that. They do follow a very similar pattern. John Philip Law from Golden Voyage of Sinbad loved playing Sinbad and wanted to carry it on, but Charles H. Scheer, the producer, and Ray Harryhausen never wanted to do a continuity amongst the three movies. They wanted it to be separate adventures, not linked at all. Excuse me. So that's why he never got the call back for this, and he was always disappointed by that. But Patrick Wayne, I think he does okay. He's not asked to do a great deal. I wish he did more. He looks like Robert Urich in The Ice Pirates with his curly hair and his little earring. Folks, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. I just threw this one out there for you because, you know, I'm still in that fantastical frame of mind. So, folks, please do take it easy. Keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. I have been, and always shall be, Kilt-Man. After this video, he will not have those tusks. I can guarantee that. It doesn't suit them. Folks, I'm going to see you all in the outer realms of Hyperborea. Laters. Scrolls. I fucking need some scrolls and potions and Minotaurs. God.